Nathaniel Bandy. Striving for originality.
Hey everyone! Last month I covered the top 10 coolest Brawl stages, so now it's time to hit up the top 10 unique stages from the GameCube sellout, Super Smash Bros. Mae Lee. The same rules from last month apply here. Retro stages do not count, and the stage may or may not be fun to play on. They just have to be a cool design to make the list. Enough talk though, let's get this party smashing. Without further ado, let's go! The original Smash Bros. Had a stage based off of The Legend of Zelda: Ocarina of Time, and for Mae Lee, we have a stage based off of Majora's Mask. The stage is pretty simple in design, but the environment is really pretty to look at. I like how the giant turtle can be used as a platform at times, but why does it change directions every time it reappears? I mean, I don't know, but if I were that turtle, I would have gotten away from that fighting ground for two reasons. One, it must do great damage to his shell when everyone is fighting on him, and two, the moon is as scary as watching The Exorcist. The moon had a big impact in the game, so it's really cool that he's in the stage. If you play long enough, you may notice him move closer and farther back from the stage. Even Tangle makes an appearance. This pencil-sized man has become so popular that he even ended up as an assist trophy in Brawl. What is it about Yoshi that everybody loves about him? He's just a cute green dinosaur that can eat things alive and turn them into eggs instantly. Oh, well, now that I think of it that way, okay, I approve of the Yoshi. Anyway, let's chat about the stage. While this stage isn't directly about Yoshi himself, it is based off the game he originated in, Super Mario World. The yellow flipping blocks work the same way as they do in Mario World, and I like how they are the main hazard in the stage. If you are falling down the pit and the yellow blocks stop spinning, there is a good chance that you won't make it out alive. It's a rare, well, I wouldn't say a good chance, it's more of a rare instance, but it is absolutely hilarious when that happens. And the music for this stage is just so happy. The song makes me feel like I'm playing this game out in the old Wild West while the neighbors are having a hoedown in the backyard. Is that weird to think? Probably.
Number 8.
When you're playing a fighting game, you want the arena to be basic and small. This stage not only breaks those boundaries, but it's also incredibly fun to play on. The detail put into Temple is remarkable, but it also plays really well too. All of the sections force the player to fight with a different playstyle. The bottom area is generally a safe zone because it's harder to KO players, but there's not very much fighting room. The top area, on the other hand, has lots of fighting room, but it's much easier to die since it's out in the open sky. This is one of those places where you can last a long time without dying. It's very common for players to get up to 200% damage. That's something you rarely see in Smash Bros.
Number 7.
While I don't know much about Earthbound, I do like how we're thrown into a King Kong scenario and fight on top of skyscrapers. The developers must have realized this because there was an event match where you have to fight a giant Donkey Kong, and that is just too cool and ironic. This in itself made the stage great, but no, it was taken even further because a freaking UFO flies in sometimes. While players can fight on top of the UFO, why is it so hard to move on? I almost feel like the top of the UFO wasn't fully programmed or something. It's almost impossible to walk on it without looking like a glitch gremlin. But that's beyond the point. This stage is just awesome because we're fighting on skyscrapers, which makes the fight look like a modern King Kong fight scene. Here's a fun fact for you devoted fans out there. My very first frustration video was about this game in Event Match 39. Guess what stage is in that event match? You guessed correctly if you took the time to think about it. Foreside.
Number 6.
It was high time Captain Falcon got a stage, and what did the developers do? They took the game Mr. Falcon came from and threw us on the damn racetrack. Literally. I mean, literally. We are fighting on an FZero stage while the FZero race is taking place. There are very few platforms that avoid the road, and let me tell you, stay on these platforms at all costs. You do not want to be on the road when cars are driving by. That will leave a mark. If you play the stage for long enough, there are sections where you don't have any platforms to stand on besides the deadly road. What was Nintendo thinking? I've got an idea what was on their minds. How can we piss off our consumers? Ah, yes! Make it nearly impossible for them to dodge the cars. Genius! But, on a serious note, this stage is excellent in its design, and must have inspired the Mario Kart stage to be made in Brawl, and the Rainbow Road stage to be made in the next Smash Bros.
Number 5.
As much as I loved the FZero stage that I just talked about, I loved the unlockable one even more. Again, this stage breaks the boundaries of typical fighting game stages. The previous FZero stage we discussed had our players fight in the perspective of the racers driving towards us. This time around, we are at a side perspective and fighting on top of the cars. This is insane! We are fighting in the heat of an F-Zero race. I can't believe this is a legit stage. Oh, and the cars are also going hundreds of miles an hour, so it's not a good idea to touch the road as you could slip away and die. Now of course, if you touch the road and jump immediately, you can jump back to safety, but only if the car is nearby.
Number 4.
So instead of getting a Rainbow Road stage, we get the Rainbow Cruise from Super Mario 64. Most people don't like the idea of moving stages because it gets away from fighting and turns more into saving your own ass. I can understand why this is such a big deal to people, but you have to realize that this top 10 is about how cool the stage is itself. All the platforms come directly from Mario 64, and we even get a cameo of the flying carpet. The stage moves in a big loop and goes on for forever. I heart Rainbow Cruise.
Number 3.
For those of you that completed Super Mario 64, remember how sweet it was to finally use that cannon outside the castle to blast your way to the rooftop? Well, that feeling hits you again when you fight on Princess Peach's castle. This is a very basic looking stage, but it's a really nice size for fighting on. There are a couple of cool elements. Sometimes random blocks will pop up and they will create additional platforms for you to fight on. But what really takes the cherry on the top is when a huge bullet bill comes in from the sky and creates an explosion that takes up half of the stage. Well, this is simply dazzling. I must ask, how is her castle not destroyed from that huge fiery explosion? I mean, Luigi's Mansion in Brawl gets destroyed rather easily. Or maybe... Okay, maybe this is Nintendo just being a dick by further proving that Mario is inferior to Luigi. Luigi's stage can be destroyed with just a few hits here and there, but Mario and Peach's stage? Oh hell no! They have to stay perfectly intact no matter what happens. Or maybe Peach's castle is made with Nokia phones? You know, I'm gonna go with that latter choice.
Number 2.
Oh, moving stages. You so annoying to play on, but you also so creative. Pokemon stages were treated very well in this game, and Pokefloats cracks number 2 on this list. We are fighting on a Venusaur, Lickitungs, Tongue, a Wobbuffet, Squirtle, lots of unknowns, and several others. Just think, if they made a sequel to this stage now with a new selection of over 700 Pokemon, it would be a great way to introduce new Pokemon to the old school fans. The stage is nearly impossible to actually fight on, but it's neat seeing which Pokemon show up. Now, I just told you about 30 seconds ago that Pokemon stages were treated very well in this game, so let's get to number 1, if I didn't make that answer completely obvious to this point.
And now the number 1 unique Super Smash Bros. Melee stage is...
Yes, Pokemon freaking Stadium. The elements that happen on Pokemon Stadium have never happened in the actual Pokemon games, but that doesn't even matter. The stage literally transforms into something entirely new at times. The transform effect is nothing short of spectacular. The themes of the transformations are all related to Pokemon types, but the environments are completely original. My favorite is the water type because I just love that big old windmill on the stage for some reason. When the stage is at its neutral self, the screen in the background will sometimes zoom in on a character and will even announce who is playing the best. The idea behind the stage is so simple, but the way it was implemented was perfect and makes it the coolest melee stage in the game. So tell me, ladies and gentlemen, what was your favorite stage in Smash Bros. Melee? Did you love or hate my list? Hash it out in the comments. I'll chat with as many of you as I can. And don't forget, you can always leave suggestions for future top 10s for me to do because I always need ideas to move forward. Thanks again for watching and for all the support. I hope each and every one of you have a spectacular day.